Hey everybody, Mr. Kevin here. Welcome to another episode of Woodworking with Mr. Kevin. Today is a quick jig video day. I had to make a quick jig today because I had to make this filler right here. A drywall filler that is 98 inches long, which is kind of long, and it tapers from a 32nd to a ½ inch. And I had to glue it onto this face frame so I could fill in the space. And I thought, hey, I should probably film this because that's a good thing to know, regardless of how long or how wide it is. The formula works the same any size, and yeah, if you've never tapered anything on your table saw, I'm going to show you how to do it. And it doesn't matter what type of table saw you have, whether it's a contractor saw or a cabinet saw, it doesn't matter at all. It doesn't matter how wide it is, how long it is. This formula works the same. Work for this little piece right here, that's a ½ inch by 98, so that's a long taper. And if it works for that, it will work for anything. So you can make taper legs and whatever, tapered whatever. You can taper whatever the hell you want. So thanks for watching, and tell all your friends, share it with the world, and I'll see you at the end of the video. All right, we'll see you. Here we go. So this panel right here sits up against the door. And this all has raised panels in it. But the problem is the door, I'll put a picture of it over here. The drywall is tapered from the top of the door down. So I need to make a piece of wood that goes from a ½ inch to 0 up here. And I'm going to show you how to do that using some scrap wood that I have right here. I'll explain how we're going to do it as I'm doing it. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to take this scrap piece of wood here. This one right here is 1 3/4 wide. I'm going to set my saw to 1 inch, and I'm going to rip it with this tapered. And I'm going to explain how you lay it out. And these pieces aren't straight at all. This is crooked as hell. But I'm still hopefully going to keep it up against the fence and keep it pretty straight so I can make a as straight as possible taper. Okay, you ready? All right, so we have a board that's 1 3/4 wide, 98 inches long. I have the piece that we're going to make this out of. It's a ½ inch thick by 3/4 by 98. I have a little hunk of scrap here. It's like 7/16 left over from all this cutting. And what I did is I took this right here. I'm going to set our saw at 1 inch. So it's going to cut from here over 1 inch.
And I put all these lines on here because what you have to do is you have to divide your board length by 8.
So this is where the video got a little complicated. Mr. Kevin drank too much coffee that day and started rambling and doing all sorts of crazy things. And I never did explain the formula, which really isn't a formula. It's just the way you go about tapering stuff. Whatever you want to call it. I'm going to explain it right here. I'm going to get rid of me and put the upper camera up here, right here. Okay. All right, so here we are. The first thing you need to know is all your parts need to be exactly the same length. These are all little pieces of poplar that are 17. All right. We have the jig body, which is right here. And another thing to know is that the jig body needs to be bigger than the piece you're tapering by 1 inch. Always. It can be bigger, but it needs to be at least 1 inch bigger so your backer fence does not get in the way of the table saw fence, which is right here. This is the front, this is the back of the jig. The table saw blade is right here on this edge. And what we're going to do, we're going to do a 1 inch taper. All right, and I already laid it out. I put the, it goes from 2 to 3 inches. So from 2 to 3 is a 1 inch taper. And that 1 inch taper is important to know because the next thing we're going to do is we're going to divide the length, being 17, we're going to divide this up 4 ways, which is 4 1/4, which I already put little marks out here. So I'm just going to line everything up here. We have a 1 inch taper. Let me get my phone working here. So what's important is the 1 inch taper and how many times we divided it up. Divided by 4. Okay? 1/4 inch. So what that means is that where we start, we're starting up here, and this is going to be put in like this, right? Boom. I'm going to draw this line here. Okay, so on little parts, it really doesn't matter because this is what you do with little parts. So you put that on there, you put your backer fence into place, and you tack it down with a nail gun. Boom, done. If you're on a board that's 10 feet long, having these lines kind of help line up where your fence goes, because you can just take your square and you can set your square. All right, this one's here, boom. And you set this one for a 1/4 inch lower or higher, 1/4 inch more, 1/4 inch more, all the way down until you get to the end of the board. And then you just line everything up, strike a line across it, and done. That way, as long as you have one straight edge on your jig base, you'll be good to go, and you'll be able to set your fence, even if your fence is crooked, because you milled it and it's a little skinny piece of wood and it's 10 feet long and it's going all over the place. That'll help. And there you go. The moral of the story is, if you have really long boards, this formula comes in handy. If you don't, it's a little tiny thing. The best thing to do is just mark your boards out, set it up. You can set your table saw blade to wherever you want. It really doesn't really matter. Line yourself up like this, boom. All right, that's where the blade's going to go. The blade can be in here somewhere too, and you can bring this down farther, as long as this backer fence doesn't interfere with your table saw fence. You're good to go, and you can cut whatever you want. You can also cut it this way. And on this video, if you notice, I actually cut it this direction, so it was wide to narrow. The safer way to cut it is actually from narrow to wide. So cutting from the narrow to the wide is safer than cutting from the wide to the narrow. Okay, back to the video. Hope that made sense. God. Here we go. What we're going to do is I'm going to lay this down on here, and we're going to pin it in place. Because what I need is something to butt this piece into as we're cutting it. So the first thing I'm going to do, lay this up here on the line. And here's a very important step. This piece has to be smaller than the off feed here. You can't make it any bigger, because otherwise you're going to hit the fence and that won't be good, you know what I'm saying? So remember that if you're going to do something like this. Yeah. All right, so let me lay out a couple of these guys here. Put this in here. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put a pin in there. Okay. And we're just going to work our way down. Put a pin every 6 inches or so. Okay, can you see that? Probably not, but it's tapered, right? Nothing sitting over on this end. This end goes against the fence. I can tell you right now, it's a little curved in the center. That's just because it followed this hunk of wood. There's nothing I can do about that. We're just going to have to push it up against the fence when we're working with it. I'm going to lay this into place here. You see that right there? See how that goes? So this is the 1/2 inch piece we want, and this is the 1 inch mark right there. So we're going to set the saw to 1 inch, and we're going to rip this thing. But what are we going to do first? Well, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to double stick tape this puppy down. Speed this thing up. When you're ready to go. Now the hard part. I'm going to cut it and see what we get. Okay. All right, here we go. And I'm just using a rip blade. We hit the 1/2 inch mark right on the money. Looks like it's working. I'm really shoving up against the fence really bad too. All right. Look at that. It made that tapered. All right, let's check this out. Here's the piece that we need. What the hell is it? Oh, look how skinny it is. So I got a little bit here. And here's the tricky part. It's taking it off without breaking it. Oh, God. And I might just knock it everywhere. Oops, I said the S word again. Double stick tape, it sticks really well. Even when you don't want it to, you want it to come off. Sometimes it just doesn't. So get in here and see if we can just pry it loose. Best way to do it is just barely twist it. Ugh. That's on there, man. It's like gumming the hair, you know what I'm saying? Come on, there we go. Now's where it gets all fragile. Super fragile. All right, here. I have to peel this off. Where's the other one? I did one up here too. Okay. That's off. Oh, it's stuck on the end too. Come on now. Big gummy ass thing. Oh, that's really on there. See, double stick tape. It really sticks. All right, so we didn't go absolutely to 0. You can see that. I'm gonna mic it right now. Let's see what it is. The very end is 1/32 of an inch. So, if you need to taper something that's 98 inches long, from a 1/2 inch to a 32nd of an inch, that's how you do it. There we go. Look at that, super taper. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to glue it onto that piece over there, because that's what needs to happen. So the first thing I'm going to do is put a little bead on this guy here. Spring clamps. I'm going to have a show on spring clamps one of these days. You got to be very careful you get them set on there perfectly, because you go one way or the other, it's going to push it. Okay, well there we go. Here it is. So if you ever have a door that's sticking halfway into the drywall and flush on the top, this is how you cure it. Whether you're on site or in your shop, this is how you go about doing it. All right, well, how was that, huh? You confused now? I'm totally confused, and I just did it. All right, well, these are going to sit in clamps until tomorrow. Then I'll take them all off, we'll sand the whole thing, make it look like one beautiful piece of wood, and hopefully that fills in the gap for all that drywall. All right, everybody, well, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe, like, hit the notification bell. Fling, flang, the bang, bang. All right. You have an awesome day. Go outside and play. Hug somebody you love, because that's important. Be safe out there, and I'll see you next time on Woodworking with Mr. Kevin. And who knows what the next video is. I got so many in the works right now, it's ridiculous. But thanks for putting up with me, and I'll see you soon. See ya. Oh, yeah. We're supposed to throw something at you. Oh. Nice. Whee. It's all made out of scrap, and then doesn't matter. Hello. Huh. Yeah, exciting. Okay, I had another thought. Okay, hold on. This is even better. Did I say that? Okay, let me start over. Well, not start over. So what we're going to do is we're going to set our saw. We're going to set our saw. So we're going to set the saw to 1 inch. Yeah, duh. I'm on Stevie's foresight and all that stuff, you know.